Hello from Tokyo.
Write that down, Fumi Saito.
Yeah, Haku, King Haku was one of the first ever pro wrestlers I saw live up close in person. Not that close. It was up in the
What company was that?
WWF.
Okay, so he
1991.
was already Haku.
Yep, he was Haku. Him and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who blew fire.
Oh, single match? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
second match on the card. It was awesome.
Oh, wow. Did you see Haku and Tonga Kid as the Islanders or something?
I used to watch him all the time on
Okay, so that's
set
WWE
tape.
WWF version of Haku then. But he already was veteran then. You know, the when you hear Haku, probably today's fan just only associate him with WWE, WWE Haku or WCW Ming, huh? But he actually started wrestling professionally back in 1977, and yeah, actually, that the little fact that the history known that he was actually born in Tonga, island of Tonga, kingdom of Tonga, and age 15 he came to Japan. Age 15 he came to Japan to be a sumo wrestler. 5 young guys were sent by King of Tonga to be sumo wrestler, and Fukunoshima, his Haku. We're gonna use name Haku because it's most popular ones, But Haku's sumo name was Fukunoshima. He came to Fukunoshima. He came to Japan in 1974, 15 years of age, very young, and wrestled. He speaks perfect Japanese, really.
Even today.
Even today, yeah. So it's like konnichiwa, everything. It's just when you see him in person, start talking in Japanese because his Japanese is so good. For some reason, sumo world, nobody speaks English or anything like that. So they were forced to learn, And yeah, he came to Japan when he was 15, so he picked up a language real quick, and he really speaks perfect Japanese. And he was in sumo for 2 years until he was 17. Not because he didn't really drop out, but there was a sumo stable hair, right? Asahi Yamabeya, all these things that his stable was breaking up, and he couldn't really choose one big boss over the other, and he was forced to kind of withdraw from that sumo stable, So he went back to Tonga once when he was 17. They then came back and joined Jan Baba's All Japan Pro Wrestling in July of 1977. He was still 18. 18. Haku. Now what the Haku is 65? Yeah. But yeah, he was born 1959. And he came to Japan when he was 15, then left once when he was 17, came back when he was 18. It was 1977. He joined Giant Baba's All Japan Pro Wrestling. He was going to be in Japan side, you know what I'm saying? Much like later on, John Tenta, former sumo wrestler, started out, had a dojo training in Japan, and you debut in Japan, and you work not American side, but Japanese side, like local babyface type. And young Fukunoshima, we call it, but he was, let's use the name Haku, because he had so many different ring names before he got to Haku. He was Prince Tonga, and one time he was Tama Tonga, much like today's New Japan superstar, his adopted son, Tama Tonga, Prince Tonga, Tama Tonga, King Tonga, and King Kong Tonga, before he was Haku. Anyhow, that July of 1977, he joined Jan Baba's All Japan Pro Wrestling. He was going to be Jan Baba, Jumbo Tsuruta, Genichiro Tenryu. He was going to be a number 4 in All Japan Pro Wrestling. And he was trained under Jan Baba's All Japan Dojo. Then, December of 1977, he was sent to Amarillo, Texas, to be trained under Dorian Terry Funk. Much like Jumbo Tsuruta was back in 73, but just like Tenryu was the previous year, 1976. So he was being groomed to be the number 4 guy, babyface, for All Japan Pro Wrestling. But after he debuted in Amarillo, Texas, he spent much of '78 in Amarillo. Then went to Los Angeles and wrestled people like Chavo Guerrero Classic or the very young Roddy Piper. You
Mm-hmm.
know, then went down to Tennessee and wrestled people like young David Schultz.
Dr.
You
D.
know, yeah, Dr. D. Then went to Hawaii and spent 6 months there when Hawaii still had territory. You know, then came back. Haku came back to Japan 1980 to be in the Japanese side. You know, Baba, Jambotsura, Tenryu, then Prince Tonga. And actually, it's kind of useless trivia, but 1981 champion, ninth annual champion Carnival, 1982 10th annual champion Carnival. He was in that champion Carnival tournament.
Hmm.
Wrestled, single match against Baba, Jumbo, Tenru, Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, all of it. That he was in Champion Carnival's tournament. This same Champion Carnival tournament that goes on today. Not the same, but they still carry this Champion Carnival Spring Round Robin Tournament tradition. And 1981, 1982, young Haku was part of that. So he was like All Japan wrestler. Not too many people remember that now because of Haku, Islander with was Tonga Kid, and very famous tag team Haku and Andre the Giant as a Colossal Connection, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So after this, the Champion Carnival tournament in All Japan Pro Wrestling 81, 82, it was time for him to go see the world. Go see the world. Went back to America, and it was Dory Funk Jr. who brought him into NWA Florida. NWA Florida, 82, as a King Tonga. Then worked, NWA Florida, went to Puerto Rico. Then, of all places, in 84, he went up to Montreal, Canada. Not a Haku, but the King Tonga against Dino Bravo was the main event in Montreal at the time. Isn't that interesting? Then 84, Montreal company merged into then WWF. It was like 1984 that Vince McMahon's vision of expansion, national expansion, and buying out all these existing, smaller company like Vince McMahon merged Montreal company and they merged Stu Hart's Calgary territory, and in that process, Dino Bravo and King Tonga signed with WWE. 84. Yeah. Then became Haku. And first baby face before he got so heavy. You know what I'm saying? Haku and in Tonga Kid. Today's Anoaia family, bloodline family. Not really. They're from different island. Samoa to Tonga, it's two different countries. I mean, two different, like a tribe. But Tonga Kid and Haku was the team of Islanders in 1984 WWE. Young babyface, huh?
Weren't they also managed by Bobby Heenan for a little
Bobby
bit?
Heenan and maybe like a Bobby Heenan and probably Lou Albano.
Probably Lou Albano, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, colorful 1984 version of WWE. So many wrestlers, 100 wrestlers in 3 different, cities, and then they were kind of, it's easy to be lost and shuffled, huh?
At that time, sure.
Yeah, and then the reason he took the name King Haku was that after King Harley Race got hurt in 88, I believe, that the crown and the cape, that the Haku
King in the
became
Ring,
King Haku is King Crown. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the singles competition in 88 WWE champion WWF. Hulk Hogan against Haku was programmed in 88. Yeah. In following year, that's also like lost, pretty much forgotten, that the tag team that Haku and Andre the Giant as Colossal Connection, managed by Bobby Heenan, and they were WWF Tag Team Champions.
Didn't they wrestle Tenryu and Kitao?
Kitao or something like that. Yeah, and also
WrestleMania 7?
Demolition. Yeah,
Demolition.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the big
yeah,
match. Yeah.
yeah. And 1990, he came back to Japan as a part of Wrestling Summit. That the Wrestling Summit is another show that we talk about a lot. In 1990, spring of 1990 at Tokyo Dome, WWF, Jan Bauer's All Japan Pro Wrestling. Inoki wasn't there; he was a politician then. But All Japan, New Japan, WWF, three big company combined, to have this one big show at the Tokyo Dome called Wrestling Summit. Actually, Haku was brought back to Japan as Jumbo Tsuru's tag team partner for that show. People remember from this Wrestling Summit the main event Hulk Hogan against Stan Hansen.
Mm-hmm.
Very historical match.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Savage against Tenryu, real famous match.
Mm.
Giant Baba Under the Giant against Demolition. The one match before that was Jumbo Tsuruta Haku against Kurt Hennig, Rick Martel.
Mm-hmm.
Both, former AWA champion, But Haku, at the time, I'm sure he was heel in America, but Haku coming back to Japan meant he was like an all Japan guy. So Jumbo Tsuruta and Haku as a tag team went up against Kurt Hennig and Rick Martel. And Jumbo beat Kurt Hennig. But at the time, he was looking to start working for All Japan full time, much like Stan or Terry Gordy, Steve Williams, Dan Spivey at the time. Haku wanted to turn on Jumbo Tsuruta, for this match and turn heel during the match, and we'll have a program against Jumbo Tsuruta. That didn't take place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That's what Haku wanted to do. And after that, he came back to Japan frequently. That he joined SWS, Tenryu's company, and when after SWS went down, Tenryu formed another company called WAR. Then Haku was part of this WAR group with Tenryu. Tenryu and Haku, they're friends, both former famous sumo wrestler. Once you're a sumo wrestler, you're sumo wrestler forever. Like a code of conduct, camaraderie, friendship, and the mannerism. Sumo is like your culture. Sumo is like whole society. Only 650 sumo wrestlers in the whole world. You know, in today's modern world, they still have samurai hairdo, and you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own like inside terminology, and Haku really spoke Japanese, regular Japanese, and sumo language Japanese. Interesting. And Tenryu and Haku was always really tight. So he Haku worked in Japan early part of 90s in a pretty regular base in Japan for Tenryu's company. That WAR tenor moved him to New Japan in 1993. And people don't remember this all that much, but 1993 summer G1 Climax tournament, Haku was in it.
Hmm.
Now when you talk about G1 Climax, it's like a singles round robin tournament, like a Seoul New Japan, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and then creating new star every year. The winner of G1 Climax this year will become your next IWGP champion or something. It's like a format, huh? But Haku actually wrestled all summer for New Japan for this G1 Climax tournament. Yeah. And I guess he's a type of wrestler that doesn't really win the tournament. You know what I'm saying?
But he always
And
has a good match.
yeah, but not necessarily be a champion or not necessarily be the tournament winner.
Mm-hmm.
It's like like in the movie, he's like a strong by player
Hmm.
type, and he was always famous for being the tough guy outside the ring. You know,
Yeah, he has his urban
yeah,
legends. Yeah.
yeah, and then sometimes the wrestlers being told this during this fight, he pulled the eyeball out of the guy's, you know, or he scratched the skin off guy's back, something like that, and don't mess with Haku kind of thing. Yeah, the
Something
toughest guy. Yeah. Oh,
outrageous.
to this day, like people like Ric Flair talk about him. Don't mess with Ming. He is the toughest son of a bitch there is, and so he carried that aura. And it was 94. It wasn't until 94. It's 30 years ago. I'm sorry, but it wasn't until 1994 he didn't become Ming with WCW. So see, Haku is WWE name, huh?
Hmm.
So when he joined WCW, much like other former WWF talent, so many like Roddy, Hulk Hogan, of course, Roddy Piper, Macho Man Savage, Kurt Hennig, the Earthquake, the you know, Brutus Beefcake, the Jimmy Hart. There's so many wrestlers from WWF migrated to WCW, huh? For
Hmm.
Monday
Gene
Night Raw.
Okerlund, Bobby Heenan,
Oh, yeah, right. So
everyone.
many. So then also sometimes Monday night, WWE Monday Night Raw and WCW Monday Nitro, it's like wrestlers are almost identical,
Mm.
And watching Nitro, it's like, wow, I've seen all these guys in WWF like years before. And that was like, it was not a strange feeling during 90s. Did you flip channels back and forth?
Of course.
Of
But
course.
there was a format you could tell because the first couple hours would have the most pro wrestling in the ring.
Okay.
Usually it was on Nitro.
Yeah.
And WWF would do a lot of talking, so there wouldn't be a lot of wrestling until like 8:30, 9.
That's how.
And
Okay.
Nitro would end with like NWO
Yeah.
talking in the ring, people throwing garbage, and
And also, Nitro never gave you like a decisive finish.
no, but
Always
then
funny.
WWF would have the main event.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So
Oh yeah, I remember that.
that was kind of my pattern from what I
Yeah,
remember.
and also WWF will create new star, new name, new character.
Mhm.
And WCW Nitro will always bring in already made star. You know,
That was
and
kind of the gimmick, right? It was kind of who's going to show up this week.
yeah, the whole used to be in WWE kind of
Yeah,
thing. But
but
I believe Ming was one of them too, Different character, almost like a kimono costume,
mhm.
like Asian and like a really like a fluffy, natural, like a jungle hairdo, right?
It was like Faces of Fear, right?
Yeah, and the
Or not?
suits.
Not Faces of Fear. Kevin Sullivan's
Yeah, that's Dungeon
Dungeon
of
of
Doom.
Doom.
Dungeon of
Dungeon of
Doom.
Doom.
God, you're pretty good. I mean, that's so many faction and a team and a tag team,
Yeah.
and it's hard to keep up. Dungeon of Doom was Kevin Sullivan, yes,
Hmm.
and the Face of Fear was Barbarian.
With Barbarian, the tag team. Yes.
It's hard to remember though.
Mm.
Hard to remember. But during this WWE run, I mean WCW run, the Ming had this single match at the Bash at the Beach, 95, summer, July of 95. Ming had a single match against Sting,
Hmm. Hmm.
US title match. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was high up in the card. Yeah. But once you're Dungeon of Doom with Kevin Sullivan, Faces of Fear was Barbarian, it's kind of another tag team like shuffled in the Nitro television, and then in the course of that, 2 hour Nitro became 3 hours, right?
Around then, yeah.
Yeah, and then endless interviews and interviews. I mean, Kevin Nash come out and doing an interview for 20 minutes. You kind of do the switch, right? And but the Ming was among that group. Yeah,
I remember one fond memory of watching Nitro back then. There were early on when Nitro had just launched. Raw had been around for a couple years, but I
yeah.
remember
2 years before that.
one of the early episodes there was a match Faces of Fear with Sting and Lex Luger. And
Okay, okay.
it felt like at the time it felt like a pay-per-view match that they were giving away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And for me, it was really because it was watching Haku and Barbarian do things you never saw them do in WWF. front suplex off the top rope and diving
Back,
headbutt and brainbuster and this
yeah,
was
yeah.
Sting right before the Crow Sting, but he had
Right,
brown
right.
hair.
Still, yes, still had a colorful costume.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
were really really athletic and again unique and different, and they stood out and they hold the test of time too, because you can go back and watch on YouTube or anything, and geez, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I like that version of Sting too. Yeah.
a great version of Sting. Yeah, I mean that match itself was fantastic, but it holds up really well. I think
Ah,
it
ah.
wouldn't seem out of if you watched it on anything on regular television this week. It would hold up just as well. It wouldn't seem
Okay.
out of date.
Right,
Um,
right.
and a lot of Meng or Haku's matches that you can go back and watch him, and the way he
Yeah,
wrestled, he wrestled. He was fundamentally sound.
and but never were given the top position. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. But
Like a world championship program.
but they put him with guys like Ultimate Warrior or they put him with the big guys. They can make he can make the top guys look pretty strong and pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So always like that. Yeah, what wild Samoans do. Like
Hmm.
they call him like Samu used to, call himself catcher. I'm a good catcher.
Hmm.
You know, everybody wants to be the pitcher or batter. You know, but he's a catcher. Yeah,
And the way that Haku always presented himself, he never came off like a chump or like even when he lost, it was he never felt like he lost his toughness or his aura.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
him and Barbarian too. They always had a way of not coming off with a looking like they lost face.
And also they never had this 5 minutes long promo.
No, they
You
usually
know,
had a manager, right?
manager. Yeah, so it's like they stand next to a manager and just stare at the camera. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
yeah, it was good, but it wasn't always big. Like a 300-pound guy. Go back to All Japan Pro Wrestling in 1977. He was still 18 years old, and his gimmick was standing dropkick.
Yeah.
Later on, he wouldn't do it, right? Jan Baba said that this guy will make living just by doing that standing dropkick. Yeah, like this high.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Islanders were a real cool high flying team that you didn't see
yeah,
too much
yeah.
of in WWF at the time. I had really fond memories of watching them on tape.
Mm, mm, mm.
They Haku, yeah, especially when he was younger, he was pretty. I was from New York. I didn't see much in lucha libre or anything, so it was kind of like martial arts, high flying. Haku had a lot of that. It was cool. It was really
Yeah,
cool.
and barefooted. That
Barefooted
version,
with tape.
barefooted version. Okay, yeah. I guess he still is barefooted later on too.
Later, so he was in the WCW until it folded into WWE, and then he kind of came back in
Yeah, what was
WWE.
interesting was that January of 2001, there was like a WCW version of Hardcore title,
Hmm. Hmm.
Ming against Terry Funk.
Yeah.
1 week, yeah, because WCW stole it and they created their version of Hardcore title. And then when you say Hardcore, well, Terry Funk should be in there. So Ming against Terry Funk, 1 week they did that. And what was interesting was that next week, Ming was already back in WCW Royal Rumble the following week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not interesting. And the
Hmm.
same guy. It's just what just I just watched it on the night show last week. Then the following week, he was as a Haku. He was in Royal Rumble surprise appearance. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was interesting. But that was like a very last chapter of WCW. So he pretty much stayed what the 95, 6, 7, 8, 99, 2000. Yeah, so he had this 5 year run with WCW then. Yeah, but he did come back occasionally to Japan because
Hmm.
I Japan is like a part of Ming Haku, like the place like a second home that he's spent his teenage years, and people don't know that much. And that's why Haku sent his adopted son Tamatonga to New Japan, and with New Japan dojo system, he debuted in Japan. You know how many years Tamatonga has been with
More
New
than a
Japan?
decade. He's
Yeah, yeah. Now
which
he's gone. I mean, he left, and I don't know which company he's gonna sign now. But yeah,
but he made he was a big part. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves for, but he gets a big part in the whole resurgence of New Japan. He was Bullet Club from the first day.
Bullet Club. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
His two younger brothers have been there for a
yeah.
while
Right, right.
now. The
Mhm.
legacy is deep. Even Haku sometimes show up with Bullet Club in the past in New Japan.
And New Japan Rumble, that
Sure, yeah.
January 4th, like a dark match, like we call it match zero.
Hmm.
They just send all these whomever's not on the card appear on the New Japan Rumble Battle Royal, and they don't announce it. But when you hear music, so, oh, Haku's in this. So he walks out, that's the same old Haku guy. It's a Ming sometimes, but it's the same Tonga-san. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think he plays that, like this connection with Japanese, wrestling industry, and the connection with Japanese fans, and connection with older Japanese fans. Seeing him as a sumo wrestler, seeing him in All Japan, seeing him coming back and forth with All Japan, then come back with WWE superstar, and he was on part of the Tenryu's SWS and WA. I was like, wow, he's been back and forth, really. And yeah, so now that he what was in he could have been in WWE Hall of Fame a long time ago, but now this year's you know Hall of Fame inductee. Well, I'm happy that he's in there, but there's a long overdue because he was always part of the big company. It's just that he was never in this like a headlining championship, main event guy. He was like right around here, and always had good match on on that evening, but almost as if he was taken for granted. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he
yeah,
was consistent and reliable,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and didn't seem to have any issues with it, body and
And
drugs.
also he was a tough guy, so nobody mess with him.
Sure, he had
Yeah,
respect.
yeah.
So that's really important. I mean, if you don't have those kind of guys and girls in a company, you need those people in a company for it to really be successful. It can't just be a one or two person show.
Like a old policeman type, huh?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Policeman they call it in wrestling. Yeah, it was interesting because he was always in good shape. You know,
Hmm.
never really was injured and sidelined or anything like that.
Hmm.
And he was in, like I said, All Japan's champion carnival. Ninth, 10th champion carnival. And when they had Tokyo Dome Wrestling Summit, he was a tag team partner of Jumbo Tsuruta. And 10 years later, 2002, or more like 12 years later, 2002, when WWF, at the time, WWE, WWF started having regular, Japan tour, 2002 on, they came back every year. Just no Japanese wrestler, WWE superstar, Japan tour every year. The very first Japan tour at the Yokohama Arena, people remember, The Rock against Chris Jericho, the unified title match. But actually, he was in on that show too. Haku against Diamond Dallas Page. Well, people don't remember DDP's WWE, run, but the Yokohama Arena WWE Japan Tour, WWE European title match. Haku against DDP was in Yokohama Arena.
Wow.
He always comes back in a very important show, and he be a part of that show. Yeah,
Reliable, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
you never see him have a bad match. I can't
Yeah,
think of anything, he was always
in good shape. Yeah,
it
and
was always fun to
tenth
watch.
tenth tenth annual Wrestle Kingdom New Japan Tokyo Dome as late as 2016. He was on the Battle Royal.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like I don't think he's retired. He's 65 now, and it seems to be like people think he's retired and see him on the dark side of the ring,
With
pro
you,
wrestling ring.
same episode.
Yeah, because we talked about John Tenta, yeah, but
Hmm.
he was Japanese sumo wrestler decade before John Tenta. Yeah,
Mm.
very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
His clip went kind of viral last week because of his reaction to him seeing Shockmaster for the first time.
Ah, okay. He didn't watch that, huh? Yeah.
No, so
Shockmaster.
yeah,
Yeah, I seen that one. Oh,
yeah,
now Haku has, like all silver gray goatee,
yeah.
But right, he's finally showing some age. Yeah, but I don't think he's retired. You know,
No,
and when people or promoter wants him, he can always come back for another match.
I think
You
so.
know. Yeah, yeah, but he wouldn't want to because now it's Tamatonga, and their brothers, and that's their time to be superstar. Yeah,
Oh yeah, long
yeah,
overdue. They've been
yeah,
around. They've been
yeah.
around.
When then Haku wouldn't get in the way. No, it's very,
No,
very traditional. Like very like almost conservative wrestler, wrestler guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think it speaks volumes about Haku's character too to get three young wrestlers like that, produce those guys. I mean, that's cool. That's
yeah. Kind of like like Alpha and Shika, right? Different version of
exactly
bloodline. Yeah.
same approach though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and tough guy too. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, tough guy from island culture.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, so it's kind of like the reason we wanted to do this legacy was the Haku Ming's legacy is being kind of overlooked, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he was there for a lot of big moments, but there were also parts of other people's careers too. But he was always there.
to make other superstars shine.
Yeah, some of the
Yeah,
foreground, background, tag team, or and now with his family in the business, he left an impact. He's leaving an impact, and
yeah,
not just in American wrestling or wrestling overseas, but in Japan, in
Japan. Oh,
sumo.
definitely. Yeah, sumo
Uh,
too. Yeah,
and
yeah,
and one of the few guys that was working with Tenryu and SWS, and that those big one-off or couple
yeah.
big
The first
shows.
like a corporate sponsored wrestling company in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, SWS Tenryu's SWS only lasted about 2 years, not even 3 years, but they had 4 or 5 Tokyo Dome shows. They brought in like a 20 WWE superstars at the time, but the Ming kind of stayed with Tenryu after that company went down. And
Hmm.
Tenryu started WAR, smaller version of Tenryu company, but Tenryu apparently wanted Haku to be part of that. And yeah, that led into the association with new grouping with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So actually Ming Haku worked both Jan Baba's All Japan and New Japan, the two major companies in Japan. Yeah. It's not like jumping over the fence or anything, but one thing led to another. He worked both major companies. Or 3 companies, 4 companies. New Japan, SWS, WAR, and New Japan.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's like he had like a long Japan run too.
Again, that's unique. Not many guys have that under the belt.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Work in both major companies. Yeah,
Yeah. During
that's
big
right.
periods too, during big
Yeah, that
wrestling
too. Yeah,
periods.
yeah, yeah.
So
And WWE and WCW.
yeah,
Yeah.
during the TV time there and the bubble period in Japan and
Yeah, bubble period. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah, he was a part of it. He was a part
Yeah.
of
So
it.
it's like I kind of have to wonder, why wasn't he in Hall of Fame until now? Yeah.
Hmm.
Because he chose to be the by player, you know? I mean, he didn't. He could have, but he didn't really push to be the headliner. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was happy to be in that, and then just he was always doing his role. Like in the movie, he was like a hitman. He was a tough guy, or the bouncer guy, or the fighter guy. But not the lead role guy with lots of dialect. You
Hmm.
know, yeah.
Backbone,
Yeah, but the very memorable, like somebody
always.
you don't forget. didn't have long lines or anything like that, but he stood out when he was on screen, kind of guy.
He could communicate really clearly. He could tell a story really clearly.
Yeah,
Didn't
and
have to
it's
use
good
words.
that because every wrestler, like active wrestler inside of the business, including people like Ric Flair, don't mess with Haku or don't mess with Ming because he is the toughest guy.
Mm.
It's good to know, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even in wrestling, even in WWE type environment, being tough individual, it kind of counts. You know,
Yeah.
within the wrestling, like camaraderie or hierarchy or the locker room atmosphere, but don't mess with Ming. Don't
Earning
mess
that
with Haku. Yeah, yeah.
respect.
Yeah, that
Respect.
guy is tough guy. Yeah, the
Mm.
legitimate tough guy. So, but he's a nice guy too. I mean, very, very friendly guy. And then he, whenever he comes back, he still speaks perfect Japanese after all these years. Yeah. It's very interesting. Yeah, because
Impressive.
it's a good, 'cause how many American or Canadian, English speaking Western world wrestler, the world traveling wrestler, spoke perfect Japanese? You
Very
know,
few.
yeah, Kenny Omega spoke really good.
Hmm.
And but the Ming Haku's Japanese, like he speaks perfect Japanese with no accent. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, yeah, Medusa speaks Japanese. uh, the there are a lot of guys who speak Japanese, or like a Terry Gordy's, version of Japanese, just worse, but he can get by. Or like a people like Stan Hansen, he actually understands a whole lot more than he lets out.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But he understands a lot more than he can say.
Hmm.
Yeah. Bruiser Brody the same way. He understands what people are saying, but he wouldn't be able to make out the complete sentence. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. Kind of like a Keiji Muto, great Muto's English. He listens to it and understands most of it, but he doesn't want to speak. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but for Haku, for some reason, he speaks perfect Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah. They train them hard in school
Sumo wrestling. Yeah.
yeah,
When
and
you
you
were
said he
15.
was young, yeah, so that's a good time to learn too.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Still
Also,
developing
he was sent to sumo school too when you were 15. You know, learn with this brush.
calligraphy.
Yeah, and then he just spelled Fukunoshima in Japanese. And he can do
Oh,
that.
he
Yeah,
had his
Shuji.
own kanji.
Yeah, Fukunoshima. Yeah, yeah. So some people still call him Fukunoshima.
Fukunoshima.
Fukunoshima, like a island of joy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Representing Tonga.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Minami-no-shima, Yashi-no-shima, Hinode-jima, Fukunoshima, Sachi-no-shima, Tomo-no-shima. It's like always like a island of friends, island of flower, island of happiness, island of sunrise, island of the coconut tree, island of south. It was just made into Japanese, sumo name. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, kind of people wondered what if he didn't, this sumo stable thing, that the turmoil happened politically, that they were breaking up the sumo bear he was in. He couldn't choose one boss over the other, and therefore he just had to, the Tonga sumo wrestler, all six of them had to like drop out.
Hmm.
And what if he didn't quit that time? He could have been Akebono. He could have been, yeah, you know, much higher position in sumo wrestling. Yeah, yeah, like Akebono or Konishiki. They became like a grand champions. Yeah. So that's the what if part of history. And also one of the Tonga wrestler was, forgot to mention, the Barbarian Shioni Bairahi. Later, he became the Konga the Barbarian. He moved to America and trained under Red Bastin and became professional wrestler, Barbarian. But those Ming and Barbarian met again and they're friends. And the Faces of Fear later on, right?
Sure.
Yeah. He did come back to Japan, different route, but Red Bastin through New Japan to Konga the Barbarian. She only debuted with New Japan in '87.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was interesting. Only two out of the Tongan sumo wrestler who became American style professional wrestler.
Hmm.
Other than that, they were like a king's bodyguards.
That's
Isn't that interesting?
very interesting, very unique. And
Yeah.
you don't hear that story
And
very
not
often.
lie, yeah, but that's the truth, you know.
Yeah.
But then now that 2 years ago there was a big, huge earthquake in Tonga,
Mm.
and they're still suffering. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like lifelines,
Yeah.
electricities, yeah, and housing and all that. Yeah. So yeah, we sent our yeah. I have to think about that sometimes. Yeah,
Mm. Of
for the
course.
people. So that was our Haku story, and not much actual details, and his actual, like real legacy has been known. He was part of territory days of American wrestling. He was with WWE, WWF. He was part of Monday Night War. He was with WCW, and yeah, but I don't think he's retired yet. Yeah,
No.
yeah. It would be interesting if he's gonna do his own, induction speech. Yeah. We don't even know who's gonna induct Bo Nakano either. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
We'll be
Who
on
do
the
you think
lookout.
will be who do you think will be inducting Haku?
Haku, I mean, his sons, or Barbarian,
Yeah,
or mm, what?
somebody famous and somebody from previous era though.
Mm,
He was tag team with Andre and the Tonga kid. Who would that be? Somebody like Kevin Sullivan? I don't know. Somebody like Eric Bischoff? I don't know. Yeah.
mm, I don't know.
Who?
We'll see.
Yeah. 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 Because Hall of Fame induction ceremony is always, interesting every year.
Hmm.
That's one of my favorite, event of the year. Yeah, so it'll be interesting because we learn a lot about the history. Well, younger fans are not really interested in the real history, but but
Yeah.
but if you learn a lot about history, you make connection. Which guys and which and who trained who and who are the cousins and brothers and who worked in territory and who had the feud with this and this. You make connection or the similar type wrestling maneuvers or somebody gave somebody a finish and using that same finish, for next generation, and that means something. It's just we learn, the more we learn about it, the bigger picture we can kind of see in this wrestling world,
Hmm.
let alone this big world. Yeah, I
Like a
think.
big quilt,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got,
tapestry. Just keep building on it, building on the continuum.
yeah, because now that they talk about so much about bloodline, right? The reality and little bit fictions too, but
Hmm.
they're all brothers and sisters and cousins and nephews and nieces, and it's pretty accurate.
Hmm.
And Haku can do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot of reality mixed in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And now that the WWE is half the wrestlers are second generation,
Yeah.
third generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But those are interesting things to learn about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Haku, yeah. I really need to do this episode of Haku.
Yeah. So if you're listening or watching, go check out Haku's matches. Meng, Haku, King Tonga, however you want to look them up.
Yeah, not wasn't flashy, so maybe when you were so young that you didn't probably pay much attention to it. And as you grow older, you appreciate wrestlers match like his.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, a lot better. This, I
I
think,
think so.
because you
Yeah.
you understand more.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Very good.
So if we want to find you on social media,
On X Twitter, Fumihiko Dayo at FUMIHIKODAYO at Fumihiko Dayo, or just Fumi Saito on Facebook, and also on Instagram, Fumi Saito no space 2001.
hmm, on X, I'm at Justin Knipper, Knipper. All right.
Yeah, we'll be
Finito.
doing a Q&A, questions and answer episode real
We'll
soon.
get to that soon. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So then until next time.
So long from Tokyo.